You're at a gas station. The price per liter has jumped again. Your phone buzzes. Breaking news. Iran closes the Strait of Hormuz. You look at the pump, look back at the headline. These two things are connected. But how? We're going to trace the exact path that oil takes from a desert wellhead 7,000 miles away to that number on your pump. And we're going to show you every single place where money changes hands, power is exercised, and politics decides your costs. Deep in the Saudi desert, a wellhead sits quiet. $3. That's what it costs Saudi Aramco to pull 1 barrel out of the ground. In the Texas Permian Basin, try $40. The same barrel of crude, radically different cost to produce. That spread is not just economics, it's geopolitics. OPEC Plus, the cartel of 13 nations plus Russia, meets periodically and decides how much oil the world gets. This week, as the Iran crisis escalates, they're watching carefully. Every barrel they cut from production, the market price goes up. Every barrel they add, price drops. They know this, and they use it. Right now, the world produces about 2.4 million barrels per day more than it consumes, a surplus. Normally, that would crash prices, but Brent is at $84. Why? Because somewhere downstream, someone is about to turn off a very important tap. The barrel leaves the well and travels hundreds of kilometers through a pipeline, invisible, underground, until it reaches the coast. There, it's loaded onto a VLCC, a very large crude carrier, a ship so massive it can carry 2 million barrels at once. And this ship has exactly one path. The Strait of Hormuz, 33 kilometers wide at its narrowest, and through it passes 1 out of every 5 barrels of oil shipped on the planet. Every tanker, every supertanker, every cargo of liquid energy that Asia runs on, it goes through here, and Iran sits right on the edge. On March 1st this year, Iran's Revolutionary Guard announced the strait was closed. Within hours, Brent crude surged 9%, because the market wasn't just pricing oil, it was pricing fear. The physical market hadn't lost a single barrel yet, but the possibility was enough.
3 days later, Trump announced the U.S. Navy would escort tankers through the strait. Prices eased, but didn't fall back to where they were, because once a risk enters the market's mind, it stays priced in, at least partially, until it's definitively resolved. Here's the thing nobody tells you. The price of oil is not set when the barrel moves. It's set days, weeks, even months earlier by traders in London and New York buying and selling barrels that don't exist yet. This is the futures market, and right now, it's in a state of war. Brent crude, the global benchmark, is priced at the ICE exchange in London. Right now, it's at $84, but JP Morgan's models say the physical supply and demand justifies $60. That $24 gap? That's the geopolitical risk premium. It's what the market charges for uncertainty. If the Hormuz disruption escalates, Barclays analysts have published a scenario. Brent hits $100. UBS has floated $120 because Middle Eastern producers have only about 25 days of effective storage. After that, actual production would have to stop, and that would be an oil shock unlike anything since 1973. The VLCC docks. Crude is pumped into a refinery, and now begins the transformation. Through a process called fractional distillation, 1 barrel of crude oil becomes 45% gasoline, 30% diesel, 10% jet fuel, and the rest heating oil, lubricants, petrochemicals, the building blocks of plastics, medicines, fertilizers. Refiners buy crude at market price, right now $84, and sell the products at their own prices. The gap between what they pay and what they earn, that's the crack spread. It's the refiner's profit, and it fluctuates independently of crude. A war in Iran raises crude, but a refinery outage in Texas raises gasoline even more. One more geopolitical layer, Russia. Before 2022, Russia supplied 40% of Europe's diesel. Sanctions pushed those barrels east to to India and China, and Europe had to scramble for replacements. The result, global diesel prices became structurally more expensive even when crude was cheap. Refined fuel leaves the refinery in tanker trucks. Wholesale distributors move it to depots. From depots to your gas station. Each middleman takes a small cut. But here's the part that will genuinely surprise you. The petrol station itself earns almost nothing on the fuel. Their real profit? The coffee you buy inside.
So who is making money at the pump? The biggest single line item on your receipt? The government. In most countries, taxes account for 30 to 60% of the pump price. That's before anyone else in the chain gets paid. And your electricity bill? In most countries, gas-fired power plants set the marginal price of electricity. When oil and gas prices spike because of, say, a Hormuz disruption, your electricity bill follows, even if you've never burned a drop of petrol in your life. Here's the uncomfortable truth. The fundamental supply and demand picture for oil in 2026 says prices should be around $60 a barrel. The EIA says it, JP Morgan says it, we have a surplus of 2.4 million barrels per day, and yet you're paying for $84 oil. That $24 difference? That's not energy, that's fear. That's politics. That's a 33-kilometer strait. And this is why energy is not just economics. It's why navies exist. It's why alliances are formed. It's why every regime change in an oil-producing country sends shockwaves around the globe. Because when you fill your tank, you are directly, financially connected to every decision made in the Persian Gulf, in Riyadh, in Moscow, in Washington. So next time the price of the pump jumps, and it will, you'll know exactly which part of the chain moved. Was it OPEC cutting? Was it a Hormuz incident? Was it a refinery fire in Texas? Was it speculators pricing in a war? The chain is complex, but now it's yours to read.